All right, today we'll be working on a Yamaha V-Star 650. Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Today we're going to see about getting this Yamaha V-Star 650 back on the road and ready to go. Clean it up and sell it, hopefully. This belongs to a friend of mine, Ken. I did a video with Ken a while back. It was his 81st birthday, so he's just a young man. But I think he said he's about done with his two-wheel career, but he still has a lot of awesome cars and trucks. But that's okay, you know. You have to eventually get to a point where things have to change, I guess. So regardless of that fact, we're going to get this bike back up and running and clean it up and make it look good. Now, this is kind of something that I usually don't do, but I'm going to clean the bike, I think, before I work on it. Maybe not going to detail it completely, but I'm going to give it a nice wash, nice bath. Try to get in here and knock a bunch of this dirt and grime off of here, because Ken said he rode it and parked it about 2 years ago. I have no reason to doubt him. I don't believe that there's anything majorly wrong with this bike. It probably is going to need a carburetor cleaning. So we will go through the carburetors on here. And this one may already have some of the common modifications done, or actually not may, I know that it does have some of the common V-Star modifications done, so I cannot show them to you. But I know one of them is this emission system that's already capped, I see right there. Can you see it? This cap. I don't know what you can see in there. Anyway, that's been done, and I think he said it had some carburetor jetting done. We've got a 2-into-1 pipe on here, and I think he said some mods to the air intake system as well. Okay, well, enough flapping my gums. Let me get the bucket and the hose, and we'll clean this thing up a little bit, and then I will put a battery on it and we'll see what it sounds like. Might as well make it look good first. It's already a little bit shinier here. I drained out the fuel. Unfortunately, the fuel valve was on, so that means that the carburetors are full of old fuel. But I drained out the old fuel and I put some fresh gasoline in here. I also added some sea foam to it, so I don't know, maybe about a quart or two of gas and some sea foam, more than it would regularly take. Stuck the old lithium battery on there. Let's see what happens. All right, it has a fuel pump. I forgot that. All right, we got juice. Got a choke. All right. Now, a lot of times when you have gummed up carburetors, it will run on a choke, but it probably will not accept any throttle. And smell my finger. No, smell the exhaust. It smells like old fuel, nasty. So I'm gonna let it run a bit. Maybe that sea foam will help clear it out. Tack isn't working. That's aftermarket though. Oh, hey, we're getting a little bit. Water burning off the pipes. The fact that it runs at all without the choke is pretty good. Well, I gotta say, I'm actually pretty pleased with what we have so far. We got some running. Looks like, well, I don't see the headlight. That should be on right now. Low beam and high beam isn't working. I'll have to check a fuse for that, because if both are out, that's likely. All right, I'm gonna keep trying to run it, and maybe I'll get it to accept some throttle. We might get really lucky on this deal. We'll see. Okay, I've been running it about 3 or 4 minutes, and now it is idling off choke, Also got the headlight to work. It was just unplugged. And we'll give it some revs here. Now that's off choke, so I think that seafoam helped, but I don't know. I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look up the battery. Let me shut this off. I'm not talking over it. We'll order up a battery and I'll do an oil change. I will flush the front brake fluid, check the tires and the brakes, and start polishing up the chrome. But and this one turned into an easier project, I think anyway. We'll see. I don't know if that battery will fit in that battery box. If it doesn't, I have a little bit smaller one. I wasn't really counting on this thing running, but maybe I'll take it up and down the street, make sure it operates. Everything works well, I mean. That darn Kawasaki Nomad is still on my lift here. It's such a big, heavy bike. I don't like taking it off there. That thing should be leaving soon. So, unfortunately, I'm working on the garage floor here. And I always hate doing oil changes on low bikes because it's a real pain to get underneath there. Put a piece of cardboard under there. See, I made a hell of a mess unintentionally. Missed my little drain pan, but that's okay. Put some fresh oil in there. I used this Valvoline motorcycle oil, but you use whatever you're happy with. Now, we'll do the final drive. And a word of caution or a tip or whatever you want to call it is to always loosen the fill plug before you loosen the drain plug, because if for some reason the fill plug doesn't come loose, say this strips out or breaks off or something along those lines, well, then you just leave it alone. You know, you can order a new fill plug or work on it, but if you drain it first, then you're really stuck. So there we go. We've loosened the fill plug. We'll take that all the way out, and then we'll drain that and we'll refill that. I'm gonna have to look up what it takes, and it's always a gear oil. It could be 80W 90 or whatever it is. I don't know. We'll look it up. I'll let you know the amount and the type here, just in case anyone else is wanting to change theirs. And it looks like you just fill it right up to here, but there should be an amount. I'll be back in a moment and let you know. Okay, according to the information I found online, it said to use Hypoid 80 weight oil. And then I read a couple of forum posts and people said that it's almost impossible to find that, this and that. So people said to use 80W90, 80W130, 75W90. I will always say, please refer to the manual or read the freaking manual, RTFM, and then if you want to deviate from it, then you do it at your own risk, okay? I have some 75W90, fully synthetic, good stuff too, Super Tech, not just Tech, but Super Tech. And I didn't find a amount, but it doesn't take much. If you have one of these, you can just put a rubber hose on it, squeeze it in here till you're just overflowing, and then install the plug, the fill plug. Replace the crush washers if you would like. Probably supposed to replace them every single time, RTFM, and then do whatever you want, because I can't stop you. But you're never going to go wrong if you follow the manual. And if you want to deviate from the manual, you may not go wrong, but there'll only be one person to blame, and it's not going to be Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Bike's actually cleaning up pretty good. Well, I'm not really surprised by that. I'm not a big fan of chrome and such, but most of it's cleaning up. That exhaust pipe is the worst of it. That's some aftermarket unit. But we're gonna move on here. We're gonna do the brakes, and only the front brakes on this one are hydraulic, so we're just gonna flush out the system. I will say this one time for those of you who are not a regular viewer, get yourself a nice JIS screwdriver. if you're working on Japanese motorcycles, the screws, Phillips head screws, are not Phillips head. They are JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard. It has a very slightly different taper than a Phillips head, and most of the time you can use a regular Phillips tip in there, but what will happen is when you turn it, it's going to try to cam itself out of there, which means it's going to push itself up and out, and it will strip the screw. If you use the proper JIS tip, you should not have any trouble. So all I'm going to do is take this cover off. We're going to siphon out the fluid that's in there. We'll put some fresh fluid in and bleed the brakes. If you don't already know how to do that, there is about 1 bazillion videos online showing such a process. I got started on this V-Star project and kind of stalled on it because I was really busy taking care of things. I went on a family trip and sold a few items from the place here. As you can see, there's no Nomad sitting there. But anyway, oh yeah, working on other projects. I did take this thing up and down the street, and it seemed like it was running okay. And then when I came back from my trip, I noticed it wasn't running quite as good as it was. So, well, maybe I was deluded. Maybe it wasn't running great. We're going to be pulling the carburetor, or carburetors, I mean to say, off of this thing. So to get started with that, you remove this instrument cluster here, which is 3 Allen head bolts. And then there's some cabling and such underneath there. The seat comes off, and it's been a minute since I removed one of these, but I think there's a mount bolt in the back here. We'll figure, yeah, it's right there. And of course, disconnect the fuel line. So we'll get the tank off, and I'll show you what it looks like underneath there. And I also noticed that the front brake is leaking after I bled it out. So I guess the seals and the caliper have gone. We'll see what we do about that. Next step to access the carburetor is going to be removing your air cleaner system. So there's 2 Allen head bolts right here. Remove those. That's why you buy lots of stuff in tubs. Now this thing is held on the back with a little plastic peg that goes into a rubber grommet. So you got to pop that out of the bottom, and then I've already loosened up this clamp here. So we'll pop that out. There's the rubber grommet. There's the little peg. So we'll put that up here. And now we can remove this this air breather hose here as well. I'm just gonna kind of fight that out. There we go. And now, underneath here, there's a clamp on each of these 2 carburetors. It's on the back side, I guess. So I'll have to loosen those, and then this will pop off. See, sometimes they pop off without even loosening it. Let me see if I can pull that off. There we go. There's your clamps on that side. We'll loosen them when we put it back on. So now we have access to the carburetors, and you can already see we've got some gunk on there. And that slide is kind of sticky. That should go up really easy, and it's sticky. And that one's almost stuck too. So now we have to go through the process of removing these carburetors, and that's going to be not too bad. Remove the choke cable right here by loosening that little clamp, pulling that off. Here's your throttle cable. It looks like someone's already modified this because it should have 2. There should be a pull and a push cable, but it's okay without it. I mean, it's best to have it set up properly. But we removed the cables. There is a electrical connection right here, and then just keep an eye out for any air lines and such that go to the different places. And down here, this will be on the other side as well. Let me see if I can take you over there, if we can see them. Right there, 1 screw, and the other one's kind of hidden in back there. There's a second one for the clamps that hold the carburetors in there. We'll get them out. Easy day. Carburetors are out here on my bench, so now we're going to remove the float bowls. We'll take a look inside of there. Like I said, these slides are a little bit sticky. That one's definitely, I can feel sticky as with that one. Those should move up nice and freely. I can feel some stickiness in them. That'll cause a lot of bogging. But let's take a look and see what we got under the float bowls. Okay, that's not terrible in there. If you've watched any of my videos, you've seen a lot worse. But we're going to pull all the jets out, remove the float, and now we're going to clean everything up. I'm probably just going to do a spray through with the carburetor cleaner. Not going to put it in the ultrasonic because the bike's running at about 80-85%, it feels like to me. So it's running okay. Just got a bog going on, and I think a lot of that is due to those sticky slides, and then whatever we got going on there in these air ports. Not an airport, like the ports for air. Okay, so I'm gonna get this cleaned up, but you know, you got the idea on how to take it out and how to take it apart. We're pretty much there already. So get the float bowl off, pull your jets out, clean out all of the orifi, and this top cover comes off of here too as well. 4 screws, that comes off, and then your spring will come out along with your slide. Carburetors are installed once again. A tip for you is to make sure, of course, you loosen the clamps really well, and then also I like to spray a little bit of silicone lubricant in the inside there, so you know, lube is good, baby. All right, we're gonna go ahead and install the rest and we'll give her a test. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, back in one piece. Sounds a lot better. Yeah, before, if you rolled on the throttle like that, it would kind of cough and want to die. So I'm going to wash my hands, wipe the bike down, and we'll take it up and down the driveway a couple times and make sure it works good. Okay, just one trip down the driveway and back up, and I know this thing is running way better. Well worth my time. Didn't take all that long. This is a very easy bike to get to the carburetors on. So bravo for that. Now I am waiting a couple days. Like I said, I ordered a replacement. I don't know if I said it, but I ordered a replacement caliper. You can see, well, maybe you can't see, but it's definitely leaking. You can rebuild these, but there was a used one off of a wrecked bike with 5,000 miles. I'm confident it will be fine. So we're going to swap that out. And then this bike will be for sale. Well, actually, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but this bike is basically already sold. A friend of mine contacted me asking if I had any small, mid-sized cruisers, something for his wife. And I mean, sometimes life pitches you a nice one. You take a swing, and maybe it's not a home run, but you know, I helped my buddy sell it and was able to fix it up and show a little bit on video as well for y'all out there in YouTube land. So with that being said, I'll probably just end the video here because otherwise, you know, changing the brake caliper is pretty easy, and bleeding the brakes, we already did that. So that's all you have to do after you change it. Okay, if you're digging what I'm putting out, give me a thumbs up. And if you would, please leave a comment down below. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.